It says recording with a red.
We're just going to have the second speaker now, and I'll just let his colleague introduce him.
Hello, I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker, people locally known as Managing Director of Straightforward Success, an award-winning coaching and training company based right here in Exeter. As a master business coach, he works closely with business owners to fulfill their true potential, often with spectacular results. For example, 2 of 3 winners out of the National Training Awards in 2009 were his clients. They were right here from Exeter. However, you may not know that he's a keynote speaker around the world on the topic of emotional strength in business. That's what he's going to talk to you briefly about today. Nelson Mandela once told him he was an inspiration, and he's worked with some of the true greats of personal and business development. He's interviewed, studied, and worked with hundreds of business owners locally and around the world, and is the co-author of The Business Coach, which was an Amazon bestseller. And he's also the author of Creating a Remarkable You, a simple guide to improving your life. Interviewed on radio to audiences of millions. Last year he was featured on BBC, Sky, and the Business Channel. Please welcome me in welcoming Anthony McGloin.
Thank you, Julie. Hello, everyone. Emotional strength in business. Have you ever considered that as an important factor in the success of your business? Very few people do, yet it's the single biggest factor that separates winners from losers and those who succeed big time in business and those who fail. What's the secret? I'm not sure I know. What I can tell you is what works for me and what works for people that I know throughout the world, some of whom are amongst the most successful people in business today. I had to develop this emotional strength in my life and in my business. 12 years ago, my 16-year-old daughter was paralyzed in a car crash. What do you do? What do you say when your daughter 1 week is with you on holiday and you're playing together as a family, and next week she's contemplating life in a wheelchair? Natalie was in hospital for 12 months, undergoing operations, intensive care a lot of the time, and also undergoing an often brutal process of mental and physical rehabilitation, preparing her herself for the life in a wheelchair thereafter. I was by her side a lot of that time, and I kept a journal. I wrote a diary, recording what was happening, what I was feeling, what I was seeing, what I was experiencing. And I also started to record, first of all, how I was dealing with it, which in the early stages was pretty badly. But gradually, I was recording how I was able to overcome this most difficult of situations. And that is the basis for the book, Creating a Remarkable You. As Julie says, it's a simple guide to improving your life. In fact, it's the A to Z of personal development, the A to Z of creating this emotional strength. I start with A, and for the 26 letters of the alphabet, there's a word. And for each of those words, you're going to work through a 5-minute exercise. I call it 5 minutes to a remarkable you. By the end of those 26 exercises, you'll be well on the way to having literally transformed your life. Here's an example. A is for anger. Anger is a thief. Anger steals things from you in your life and your business. It can steal friendships, relationships, marriages, families even. The silly thing about anger is that if you think about it, you're the only one that experiences this destructive emotion churning away inside of you. The object of your anger very often gets away scot-free. So think about your business, just for a few moments. Think about what is making you angry. You may have even been talking about it this morning. Think about that. What is making you angry? And what are you in danger of having stolen from you as a result of that anger? Now, think of one thing to do today, right now, that can start to neutralize that anger. That's just one of the little things we look at with A. C is for contribution. How many of you know the name Zig Ziglar? Zig talks about how you can have anything you want in life, if you'll only find a way of helping as many other people achieve what they want in life. And C for contribution. In the book, one of the stories involves Sir Paul McCartney. You see, I'm a huge Beatles fan, always have been. At the age of 12, I remember going up to John Lennon's house, knocking on the door, waiting for the maid to open the door so I could ask for an autograph, and guess who opened the door? John Lennon himself, big black mop of Beatle hair. And there I am at 12 years old, in front of one of my heroes. And I remember saying, Mr. Lennon, could I have your autograph, please? And he said, sure. And then he said, as he was signing it, he said, by the way, come back tomorrow, because the others are going to be here. So I went back, and he'd got autographs of all four of them. To this day, I've still got a number of autographs, including 2 signed copies of Abbey Road. So with stories like that, and frequent viewings of the film Yellow Submarine, my children inherited my love of the Beatles. So when Natalie had her accident, I thought, what can I do? What can I do to somehow cheer her up? And I set myself a goal. I had this brilliant idea, and I set myself this goal. At that time, there had been a big book, a big hardback book called The Beatles Anthology. It was a big book, and it was the definitive story of the Beatles. And in November 1999, within a month of Natalie's accident, I had set myself a non-negotiable goal for my daughter. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I determined to get a signed copy of that book. And you may know that you're only ever 6 steps away from anybody in the world. Well, in my case, it was 4. I found someone who knew Stella McCartney, who happened to know Sir Paul McCartney quite well, her dad. And all 4 people in the chain played their role fantastically. And on Christmas morning, 1999, one of the surprise presents for Natalie was this package with the book inside. Now, she was able to tear off the paper, but in those days she wasn't strong enough actually to lift the book up. So I helped her open the front cover, and there it was, a note that said, to Natalie, with love and best wishes from your friend Paul, with a little smiley face and a kiss. I mean, what a great thing. The smile on her face was just fantastic. And it didn't stop there. Billy Connolly was her favourite comedian at that time. I was horrified, with all that vulgar language. But I again said, well, what can I do that would involve Billy Connolly? Never met him, never knew him, didn't know anybody who knew him. Within a couple of weeks, I was speaking to his manager, and he agreed to meet me for 5 or 10 minutes. And what a warm chap. First of all, he was very sympathetic to me. And I said, well, would you mind signing this card that I got? And he thought for a moment. He said, keep on keeping on, Billy. And I thought that was nice. But then I said, would you do me a huge favour? Would you phone her? And he said, of course, in that warm Scottish brogue. And a couple of days later, in the hospital, the nurses were all aflutter. Billy Connolly's on the phone for Natalie McCloy, oh my God. Well, Natalie was even more of a flutter. But he spent 15 minutes on the phone with someone he had never met and just cheered her up no end. The point is this. Billy Connolly and Sir Paul McCartney are their own brand. Whatever they do individually actually affects sales. So what about you in your business? What can you do to be a remarkable stranger to somebody else so that 12 years on, they're going to be talking to people like this and say, what a great person you are, a great business you are. Just think about that for a moment. By the way, Natalie is now on the fringes of the GB Paralympic squad in a sport of wheelchair rugby. And in 2009, she went to Brazil for one of the tournaments for GB, and she came back having won the Player of the Tournament award. And she said, Dad, I think my gold medal, I think you'd like that rather more than I would. So, even at then, which was early 20s, and with her situation, just imagine the emotional strength that allows someone to think like that. So, how does and what does emotional strength affect in your business? It affects absolutely every part of it. Time, team, money, systems, marketing, sales, you name it. I can give you the tools, and our clients will swear by these tools, because one of them, for example, in the money side of it, will guarantee that you'll double your profits by this time next year. It's an absolute guarantee. It happens. Other tools will get you significant improvements in all other aspects of your business. But will you use them? Because the guarantee only works if you use them. That's where the emotional strength comes in. You see, it's easy to learn something and then forget it. You know, picking up a book, people have got all sorts of books at home, and these self-help books don't work if they're shelf-help books. So you've got to read them, you've got to work on them. And there are 10 steps to building this emotional strength. I just want to focus on 3 of them. You see, the third one of the 10 steps is what I call the group mentality, the group step. This is where you have an idea, an innovation, an initiative that's going to literally change your life, change the life of your family, maybe even change the world. And you come along to a group like this, or maybe to your breakfast group, and you go along and you tell them what you're doing, and they look at you and they say, "Are you kidding? Don't you read the newspaper? Haven't you seen the news? We're in the middle of the biggest recession we'll ever experience. And you're thinking of going off on this harebrained, have you considered the risks?" And you think, "Oh, I'm so thankful for my friends in this group, saving me from all that." And you see, a group tends to be of an average, you know, it averages out. Another word for average is mediocre. And so you, in this level of the third stage, you slip back into mediocrity. On the 5th step, you step forward. And now you want to be more and do more and have more, create more and give more, contribute more. And it's fantastic. And you look around, and how many people are business owners of their own here and recently started out? You know, what's the feeling that happens when you start out in business and you're on your own? It can be a bit lonely. And you look around and you're on your own. And your friends in the group are saying, "Come back, we want you, we love you, we miss you." And so this step, which I call the falter step, is where you step forward but you hesitate and then you step back. And it's only in the 6th step where it really starts to work. It's what I call the discipline step. This is where your discipline to step forward and keep moving forward is stronger than your group's attempts to hold you back. And when you have the discipline to move forward, you discover all sorts of things. You discover new knowledge, new ways of learning, new things, new experiences. And you start doing the things that achieve the new results. And it goes on until you develop a constant and never-ending improvement in your business, until at the 10th step, you've gained mastery of this emotional strength. It's a bit like, consider yourself water in a saucepan on a stove, and you can control the heat. And you start off as cold water, and you turn the heat up, and it's getting warm, and you get up pretty hot now, and then you get to 211 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty hot. You know, the change that goes from 211 degrees Fahrenheit to 212 is less than 0.5%. 0.47% of change. But that change takes you from a liquid that is contained forever in a vessel to steam. It changes your state where you're freed completely. That power actually enables you to light cities, power turbine engines. That's the difference that 0.47% change makes. But how many people actually just turn that water down again and go from 211 back through the mediocre, back down to cold? Somebody we know was in the States last year, and they were waiting for the lift at the hotel, and the doors opened, and they got in, and 3 black, burly guys with hoodies pushed in and went to the back of the elevator. As soon as the door closed, one of them said, "Hit the floor." And she immediately went on all fours, pushed her handbag aside, and said, "Please take whatever you want, just leave me alone." 2 seconds or so, and the same voice said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I meant for my bodyguard to hit the button for our floor." She was rather embarrassed, got up, as soon as the door opened, she went out. 3 days later, she went to check out, and her bill had been paid. It had been paid by the person who was in the elevator with her, with a little note saying, "Sorry for the embarrassment, I hope this somehow makes up, and please accept my apologies." Will Smith, the actor. So there's Will Smith, there's Billy Connolly, Sir Paul McCartney, another example of just going that extra bit, that extra 0.47%. He didn't need to do that, but he did it. So here's the challenge for you to be a remarkable business owner, a remarkable person. In this book, the business coach, that will show you how to create emotional strength in your business. It actually describes how to use the formula that will help you double your profits. This book will help you create emotional strength as an individual. Normally the business coach was sold for £25 5-6 years ago in Smith's and was an Amazon top 30 bestseller. Creating a Remarkable You is just out now, and that's £10. If you would like signed copies of those, we're going to let you have both of them for £10 today. That's not the point. The point is what you're going to do from now on. If you would like me to come along and talk to you about your business, about these tools, about how to develop the emotional strength, please talk to Julie or me afterwards. Make now the moment that you step forward and you keep moving forward. Thank you very much.